Ladies and gentlemen, it is lightning round. It is Kevin Tompkins. It is Andrew Cooper. Britt Flinn will be joining us momentarily here, but you know what? I am excited. Lots of big battles this weekend. It's Bills Bengals. It's Chiefs Dolphins. It is Jets fans. Coop, my man, how are you doing?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. It must be a lot of traffic in New York this morning because a lot of Jets fans said they were going to come back and talk about the game, but I haven't seen a whole lot of them popping through my timeline. Funny how that happens, right?
I know, right? Like,
Where they at? Where they at, though? No,
I
I
know.
mean,
Look, you
yeah,
got to make your take. It is what it is. People moving goalposts.
it's
It
fine.
is what it is.
Yeah, honestly, I said it on my show yesterday, like that it's okay to get excited, man. Get excited about your team. Jets have a good defense, you know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, right? We're just trying to help people win fantasy leagues. We're just trying to get our takes out there. And if you want to have a respectful conversation, I'm here for it. I'm down to chat, dude. But there's a lot of people that don't want to be respectful, and I'm here for that too. So definitely come hang out. Bring your clown emojis, bring your crying emojis, and we'll talk about it.
And then speaking of let's bring in Britt Flinn straight from the Noogs,
Cheers.
ESPN Chattanooga. Britt, how was your week 9 and how are you today?
I'm a little salty. I had last night's game did not benefit me very much. I barely won in one league. In another league, I had Keenan Allen, CJ Mosley, and Quincy Williams, and that defense was just gassed. And I was playing against Austin Eckler, who, although he wasn't efficient, did score those 2 touchdowns. And then Justin Herbert, scored the bare minimum of points because the defense did it. So I'm good. I'm salty, but we move on. It's another week.
Yeah, somebody pointed out that the Chargers could have taken a knee every drive and probably won that game, right? Because, I mean, if you really think about it, the punt return touchdown, the game was pretty much out of hand. They could have won 7-6. And then at the end of the game, it was like, they got the field goal and then they ran the ball and then the Jets handed them another touchdown on a silver platter. So it's like for the end of the game, they didn't have to throw. You know what I mean? But again, the Jets have a good defense. It's just if you're not getting them off the field, they're gonna be gassed. Like you said, it's like maybe Mike McCarthy was right when he said that, scoring too fast. In this case, not scoring at all, but scoring too fast can tire out the defense. I don't know, but that defense was beat.
There was one drive that I was watching in the first half, and I saw CJ Mosley miss a tackle, and I go, no. And then Quincy Williams came in to make a tackle, and he missed that tackle. And I was like, no. And I leaned over and I go, they are just so gassed. They can't even tackle anybody. And it was around that point in time that I just put my phone down and I was like, no, I'm not even going to look at this. It's just done.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams definitely let us down as well. I see you in the chat, Gabe. I had him in a lot of spots, and honestly, the team was too fired up, too good. Josh Jacobs just took care of business himself. So what are you going to do?
Well, I feel like if Daniel Jones hadn't gone down, that game would have been a lot closer, and they would have had to throw, but they didn't have to throw.
Exactly.
Like that. That's another game that the defense kind of took care of business.
Yeah, and look, the Raiders are apparently batting 1,000 when it comes to hiring interim head coaches because Antonio Pierce has passed pretty much every test as far as how to handle press conferences, how to handle your team. He seems like a player-first head coach, just like Rich Bisaccia was. And, when the Raiders end up hiring, like, I don't know, Jason Garrett or something like that next year to be the head coach. I mean, we'll look back at this and be like, I wonder what we had with Antonio Pierce. Look back on the good times, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'll tell you, looking at this slate, though, this week, hopefully there's going to be a lot of good games. There's only 2 games, last I checked, that were higher than a touchdown spread, right? We've had a lot of games this week, coming in this year that were over-unders for like 36, 37, and the spreads were like 8, 9, 10. There's one game that the spread is ridiculous. Have you seen the spread in the Giants-Cowboys game? The opening line? Take a guess. Take a stab. Take a stab at what it might be.
18.5.
Very close. It opened at 17.5. Somebody
I'm
out.
A ringer.
That's crazy. Somebody out there is betting on the Giants to cover that, so it's down to 16.5. I don't know where those points are going to come from. Not from Tommy DeVito. So I think 17.5 might actually be right. That might be the right number.
Yeah, we talked about last week, like this we had, obviously the big matchups, but other than that, the slate was kind of ugly. Like this slate for week 10 is pretty ugly, like all things considered when you're looking at especially the island games. Like the island games, look, Panthers Bears. Come on. Are you waking up at 8:30 or 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Time to watch the Colts and Patriots in Germany? Like here, we'll give you the Dolphins and Chiefs, but the receipt just came and it's Colts and Patriots.
Yeah, I gotta root for the Colts. As a Patriots fan, it's my duty to wake up and root for the Colts. Like we need Drake May or Caleb Williams. I know people are down on Caleb Williams all of a sudden. I don't care. Like give me whoever. It does not matter. We got to get somebody in there as competition at the very least at the quarterback position. End of story.
Do you think that Belichick is on the hot seat after that entire press conference, or how, as our resident Patriots fan?
Yeah. So the thing with Belichick and with Bob Kraft and all those guys is that I don't think it's going to end up being like a Jerry Jones fires Tom Landry situation. I think whatever it ends up being is it's going to be insanely sugar-coated, right? It's going to be like Bill Belichick has decided to move on to blah blah blah, other opportunities as we go in this direction.
Yeah.
Exactly, like whatever it is, like if he goes to the Chargers or whatever, it's going to be framed as some like mutual decision. But I think you're right that like behind the scenes, there's definitely some talk about that, and they might even actually want it to be a mutual situation where the Patriots turn around and say, hey, we got some hard times coming. Why don't you go? And we know you're the second oldest coach in the league behind only Pete Carroll. Why don't you go and actually coach a team right now that's ready to win now, because you're not trying to be part of this long drawn out rebuild situation. So could easily be a situation like that. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, like, where would you want to see Bill Belichick go? I know my choice, but if he wasn't going to be with the Patriots, but what do you guys think? What would be a good spot for him to go to?
Team president.
No, to like if
no,
he
could pull like a team. He could pull a Tom Coughlin and just go upstairs.
Right. Of course, but I'm saying if he were going to coach another team.
See, I don't really think that he is, and I actually just talked about this on ESPN on the radio show that we did because of his comment saying, "Well, I'm just gonna let it play out like how it plays out. I'm just gonna let the chips fall where they may." Whatever, paraphrasing, but I think that it might be some situation where they're like, oh, well, you're just going to retire. Because I don't think with that tenure, with that legacy in New England, that he's going to go anywhere else.
Yeah. You never know, though. You never know. And it's fun to speculate. That's the point I'm getting at. I honestly, the team that I think that it would be really interesting to see him go to would be the Chargers. The Chargers, if they're sick of Brandon Staley there have been a lot of games where you look back and clock management and going for it or not going for it have been the difference maker. Kellen Moore, I think, is a good offensive coordinator. If they were to just bring in defensive coach Bill Belichick and roll with Kellen Moore, I think that would be a pretty interesting situation. So something to think about.
Yeah, for
Kellen
sure.
Moore stinks.
And Scampers makes a good point. He wants the record, in my opinion. He does have like that like Don Shula beef, you know what I mean? Where he's really chummy with a lot of coaches, but it does not seem like he likes Don Shula.
Yeah, and then to Gabe the Babe's point, one organization would give him full control, because that's certainly a big part of it too, where you're going to have the ability to manage your 53-man roster. Not a lot of GMs, or at least they don't want to consolidate that job to the head coach and the GM. So that's certainly something that shortens the pool as well.
I think a lot of them would. I think there's a lot of teams that would just say,
like,
hey,
dude, we've seen you draft wide receivers. Like,
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like you don't have to relinquish everything. You know what I mean? But I think there are a lot of teams that might look around at the history and the culture in their organization, in their locker room, and say, you know what? Let's just let this guy do everything. I mean, just like Colorado did in college football, where they basically said, hey, you know what? Colorado football has not been good for a long time. We're just going to let this guy fire everybody and put everybody in the transfer portal and do whatever he wants. And it's actually looked okay for Colorado. So, with there are teams that it's looked okay, is what I said. Has it not? Has it not looked okay?
Better than it was.
They have more wins this year than they had last year.
Well, being better than one is not hard.
Yeah, well, there you go. There are a lot of teams out there that could be a lot better than one, so
Syracuse isn't.
something to think about,
Anytime I can get a chance to rail on Syracuse football, I'll do it. Fire Dino Babers. Anyway, we will talk about some trade targets today. Fantasy playoffs are going to be here before we know it. So with trading deadlines approaching in most leagues, we're going to detail some players that you can trade for in your leagues to kind of get your roster set on your playoff run. If you have any questions as far as lineups, as far as trades to make, send them on in here, put them in the chat. Like and subscribe to the video as well, because we got to feed our kids, of course. Well, Coop does. Coop's the only one here with a kid. I mean, yeah, I guess he tells sellers for it.
My kid needs a lot of likes. So get those going. Otherwise, we're going to be eating cat food and wearing newspapers on our shoe to school. So get us those likes.
Have you seen how expensive cat food is?
That used to be the only thing left when people were preparing for hurricanes. Now it's gone.
Yeah, we're eating old Halloween candy. And I just want to point out, Adam Bernard did say Belichick said he wanted to coach the Naval Academy. If he was going to coach college, it would have to be something like the Naval Academy, because I can only imagine him trying to recruit kids, being like, you either want to be here or you don't, right? Whereas like every other,
I mean, I don't care. But.
I don't care. There's plenty of, it's a team game. Blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like just the worst recruiting pitch I can imagine.
Sound like Arthur Smith.
Well, he already has the mask.
True.
Maybe that was some self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and Adam Bernard produced. Yeah, Belichick in a kid's living room is an NFL skit or SNL skit.
Truly, dude. Yeah,
that really is. I would pay to see that. But yeah, let's talk about some trade targets. And Britt, who do you like as far as a prospective fantasy manager looking to bolster their roster, whether it's in the lineup or on their bench, somebody that can at least help them get into the playoffs and then help them on that playoff run?
Yeah, I'm first looking at Devonta Smith, not only because I've had a ton of trade offers for my shares of Devonta Smith going up until this week, but now Dallas Goedert has a fractured forearm, probably an IR candidate. He's been the big guy in the way of Devonta Smith actually getting targets, getting production. I think that the Eagles have a lot. They have a very tough schedule going forward. I don't think that they're just going to be able to run. I think that passing game is going to be something that they're going to rely on. And now without Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith becomes a top 2 target. Goedert, obviously, like I said, is set to miss time. Injured reserve candidate. I don't care what you say. It's only fractured. He could come back. No, it's his wrist. Trying to catch a ball is just horrendous. And we kind of did see last year that when Goedert got hurt, that Devonta Smith moved into that role. I don't think that even with a change at offensive coordinator that they're going to change that scheme. I don't think it's going to be Jalen Reagor or Zacchaeus. I think it's going to be Devonta Smith. So if you can buy him, especially while he's on a bye week, he's the guy that you should get.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up last year. Coming into this year, I checked it out just because we had a sample size of games without Dallas Goedert, and in the games without Dallas Goedert, so with Goedert, Quez Watkins was getting like 2.1 receptions per game. Without him, he was still only getting like 4.8, 4 or whatever. So like all the Olamides Zacchaeus, Julio Jones, they'll be involved a little more. But in the games without Goedert last year, A.J. Brown was getting 8.8 targets per game, and Devonta Smith was getting 8. I mean, sign me up for that. 8 targets per game is, I mean, all you really truly need in this world is 6 targets per game, right? That gets you to around 100 on the season. And like those are our fantasy relevant players. 8 a game is wheels up mode. So yeah, give me some Devonta Smith right now.
Yeah, I mean, that target share just completely consolidates to Brown and Devonta Smith. And Nick Sirianni has said that he wants to mix up personnel packages. I mean, Albert O played his first snaps of the season, yesterday or in week 9 too. So we know it's either going to be like Jack Stahl blocking and maybe Albert O running some routes, but you can't depend on Julio Jones. You can't depend on Olamide Zaccheaus. Maybe in like super, super deep leagues where you have to like anybody who has a pulse gets rostered. Maybe Zaccheaus becomes moderately viable. But
I will say this: last year, Dallas Goedert led all tight ends in screens. This year, he's up there. Evan Ingram leads. But the thing about screen passes is that the coach has to objectively decide to call that particular play where there's only one target on the play. So it's not like these other ones where you go through the read progression and you trust this guy or trust that guy. The coach has to say, hey, we're going to get one to Goedert here.
Right. It is first read and that's it. Yeah.
It's it. Yeah. So with the number of screens you get really depends on your particular talent. I don't think all of a sudden they say, oh, well, this is the game plan. So now Alberto or Jack Stoll is going to get 3 screens a game or whatever. Right. So it's like those play calls kind of go out the window, or maybe they will just throw a bunch of screens to Alberto. We'll see. But I think what you end up seeing is probably more wide receiver screens.
Well, and I said Jalen Reagor, I meant Grant Calcaterra. But that guy,
it's easy to mix those two guys up.
It's, I'm exhausted. Have a lot of stuff going on, but Calcaterra has been out too. He was the one who was drafted to be that backup pass catching tight end, and he's been out for the past few weeks. So just Jack Stoll and Alberto, don't really see that happening.
Well, if I trust anybody to make anybody viable, I guess it's Howie Roseman and their intrepid scouting department to pick up Alberto and make him into the thing that Denver couldn't and Nathaniel Hackett couldn't. So, I mean, it is what it is. But we got Graham in here with a trade question. 12-team PPR. What do you do with Saquon Barkley? Should I offer Saquon and Ingram for Austin Eckler and Logan Thomas? I have Josh Jacobs. So looking to kind of pair Jacobs with either, taking the dip at tight end, switching out running backs. What do you think, Coop?
Yeah, so Graham, that for me, and we get these type questions a lot, and for trades like that, I always look at the tight end waiver wire quick. Look around the waiver wire and see what kind of names are there, because a lot of there's deeper leagues where everybody's rostered. And in that case, you're committing to Logan Thomas the rest of the year. But sometimes I look around the wire and I see names like, Cade Otton and who, has played really well lately, was in Britt's waiver wire article this week. And you see like viable potential guys out there, a lot of them, decent options. In that case, I'm more willing to do that move because Logan Thomas becomes the weak spot, but you can paper over it with other options, So yep. I do like the move. Ingram has been good, but he hasn't been a red zone threat. He's really just been a PPR reliant guy. So I don't mind doing that move for Eckler, especially because I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Giants. We don't know when Tyrod Taylor's going to be back. We know Daniel Jones is done, so it's pretty ugly, man. Pretty ugly.
And I don't know if you can even rely on Ingram with Zay Jones coming back, to be completely honest. I think that he might be the odd man out in that situation. So I would actually prefer Thomas just straight up for Ingram. And then all the reasons that you mentioned about Saquon, that Giants offense is just, oh my God.
It's gross.
Horrific.
Yeah. That's a bad situation. Absolutely. So pivoting off to Saquon, if you're able to do it, I would. I do like that. With Ingram, yeah. The only thing that's really working the Jaguars offense this year is Christian Kirk to an extent, and obviously Travis Etienne. So it's really hard to even put your chips in on any of the other guys there. And with so many guys, you're just spreading it already kind of dubious target share through multiple people. So that's where I have some pause with any of those Jaguars options that I guess isn't Christian Kirk and Etienne. So Giants bottoming out for the number 1 pick. I mean, definitely in the range of outcomes.
No, Patriots.
No, Packers.
Yeah. You think they would? Do you think they would take a QB? I know the GM pretty much hinted that they haven't fully made a commitment to Jordan Love, but I don't know, man.
That's a conversation for another time because I don't think we have enough time on these airwaves to fully flesh that out, but we will persist here with Mateo. Would you trade Javonte Williams and Ayuk for Eckler? I mean, if you have like Javonte on your bench or something like that, and you want to consolidate to get up to an elite player in Eckler, like I'm all for it. I kind of like Javonte's role now in Denver. I like Ayuk going forward. It's tough, but I would rather have the two, I think, than Eckler. And I understand. I'm mostly on the best player in the trade, get that player, but I'm good with both. What do you guys think?
I'll let Coop answer this.
Yeah, I mean, with this one, like I'm actually in on. I was not so much in on Javonte early on. I was a little worried about his workload, but he's been growing on me. His usage has gone up. So if both Javonte Williams and Ayuk are in your starting lineup right now, I wouldn't do it. But if again, like Kev said, if you just have a wealth of riches and you're trying to consolidate to get the best players from down the stretch, then Eckler is the best guy in the trade. So it really depends on what else you got going on.
Yep.
For sure. Another Twitch gang representing here. ZDs. Not going to complete the joke if that's the joke. Full PPR. Who do I start at flex? Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley,
Twitch
James
gang.
Cool. I'm assuming that's James Cook, although hasn't been that cool lately.
James Cool.
Coop's looking pretty cool.
What's up, James Cool in the house? You got a question?
Cortland Sutton or Taysom.
You can call me Jimmy. How you doing? Who do I start at the flex? You have all those players. So that's the exact kind of team, ZDs, where I would that like we just talked about it with the other guy. That's where I'm trying to consolidate my team into just like better high end players. So if you can take two of those players and trade them for one, then I would do it. But for me right now, it's still Devontae Adams. Yeah. I think that this week the game script, as Britt pointed out, where the Giants had to go to their third string quarterback, just not conducive to throwing. And I think that the Raiders are going to be in more matchups where they're going to have to throw. This week they have the Jets. So, I mean, not an ideal situation, but I think I would still go there. The other option would be Ridley, but you're getting the 49ers. So it's not really that much better, right?
The 49ers have been kind of sus when it comes to their secondary. So
yeah,
I would go with it. But honestly, I think that probably Christian Kirk's going to get more looks out of the slot than Ridley is on the outside.
I mean, take Adams and Ridley and try and trade for like Amon-Ra St. Brown or like anybody. Like you have the two name value players. If you can take two of them and trade for one with that kind of depth, that's what I'm trying to do.
Go get CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb would be nice. He looked good. He looked good this week. 11 receptions, right? Nobody else had more than 8. Just big dog.
CeeDee Lamb might be taking that step to the penthouse
to be my best friend.
Receivers.
Yeah, that's why he was on the cover of the Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide. Just saying.
And Target Report last week.
That's right. Let me get us back on track here. I'll give you guys some players that I'm targeting for down the stretch. And those players are called Bengals. And I look at this team getting hot at the right time, coming around, getting it together. Guys are getting healthy. Maybe not so much Tyler Boyd, but Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And I also have a video on my timeline on the Twitter machine at Coop Fiasco where I talk about Joe Mixon, where I really don't necessarily care that so far he's been highly inefficient, that the team is kind of towards the bottom of the league in rushing yards per game. This is a guy that's getting every snap. He played over 50 snaps this week. You saw with, and you look at Rachaad White. He got it done this week. I think he was the RB1 overall, but he's not on the Bengals. He's not even on a good team, man. You got this guy in a situation to punch in touchdowns when they get down there. It's like Jamal Williams last year. Was Jamal Williams amazing, or was he on an offense that, could get the ball down into the scoring area, and then he was the go-to guy? Like Joe Mixon is the go-to guy. So I'm trading for Joe Burrow too. Their schedule at the end of the year is Jags, Colts, Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs. That's how your fantasy season finishes. I'm feeling pretty good about those. Hopefully, fantasy championship week, that Chiefs-Bengals game is a big shootout, and people that have Bengals, people that have Chiefs, that's going to be a big difference maker. So give me Bengals, Burrow, Mixon, Higgins, and Chase. Tyler Boyd, now that Higgins is kind of back up to full strength, he's kind of But even then, if it's a deep league, we have a bunch of flexes and stuff. Tyler Boyd's the world are valuable too. So it's a highly consolidated team. You can miss me with all the tight ends. I'm not interested in tight ends.
You're not into Tanner Hudson, who is
Tan man. Somebody asked me about Tanner Hudson yesterday. I popped into like Bob Harris's Twitter space, and somebody asked me about Tanner Hudson. I was like, dude, if you love Cameron, if you miss Cameron Brate and Anthony Ferkser, then Tanner Hudson can fill that hole in your heart. I bet.
That was a fun 6 months of Anthony Ferkser season.
Ferk dad, dude. Yeah, I mean part-time slot only guy. That's kind of what he is, dude. It's what Kylan Grant is going to be going back to. Hey, Britt, on the injury front, I know you're usually pretty plugged in on this, and I've been looking. There's not a whole lot of news, but have you heard anything about our sweet Jelani Woods?
I mean, he got placed on IR before the season started, so he's out for the entire season.
No. They said that he can be active. They activated his window. The coach just said that he could come back.
I have not seen that.
Shane Steichen on Jelani Woods returning. He said, "We'll see."
Yeah, that's really indicative. That's really concrete.
I saw
that's
"We'll see."
Super concrete.
That's what I'm saying. I saw "We'll see," so I was like, "Oh, maybe Britt has come across something." You know what I mean? "We'll see" doesn't sound good because at first they were saying when he would come back, and then now they're asking if, and the answer is still I don't know. So. And this is what he said. He keeps working through his rehab process. When the time's ready, he'll be ready. There you go, whatever that means.
That sounds concrete.
Coach speak.
There it is. I don't think they've actually activated his window though. So like they could just leave him on IR and then, when there's like 3 or 4 games left, you activate the window, and if they make it, they make it. But I'd say that the farther we get down here, the less likely we see him.
Right. By the way, have you guys seen the Coach Speak Index Twitter account?
It's great.
People have mentioned it, but I can't find it, dude. Somebody tag me in that.
Oh my God. I'm gonna do it right now. But yeah,
tag me on Reddit.
I'm
not good at Twitter.
I'm banned from the fantasy football Reddit.
I'm banned from a bunch of Reddit. I'm banned from the NFL Reddit. I'm banned from the Buccaneers Reddit and the Bills. And probably 10 others, but no big deal. I got the important ones we hang out in anyway.
The important ones. But yeah, as far as your Bengals stuff, I'm fully on board with everything, of course, but Joe Mixon, because my contractual obligations do not allow me to prop up Joe Mixon on these airwaves. But look, I understand completely the thesis of Joe Mixon as far as a guy who it's literally his backfield. There's nobody coming to take his job. There's nobody come to take food off his plate. I just fail to see the touchdown equity like that's in that offense, at least for him being able to convert on it. I mean, he has 3 touchdowns right now. They've been primarily a pass heavy team. They're the highest pass rate or expected team in the NFL entering week 10. But I get it. And the Bengals are rolling right now with, T. Higgins looked much more like T. Higgins that he has in the past like 4 or 5 weeks. So definitely, and Joe Burrow too, with his scrambling ability. Like that's been the main thing where Joe Burrow was actually able to turn sacks into extended plays, which has been great for the offense. So definitely love the Bengals going forward. One guy that I am actually like never been like super in on, but I am now as a trade target. It's Taysom Hill, baby. Is it Taysom Hill? Look, if we're dumpster diving for tight ends and we're scrounging through the Donald Parhams and the Kate Ottens and the Mike Gesicki's, Taysom Hill is out here throwing for touchdowns, getting 5 targets in 3 of his last 4 games, getting double-digit carries. He got his highest rush attempt share of his career at 42% last week. I believe it was 11 carries. Like, I know like he's not running a lot of routes. I know technically he's a tight end. I guess maybe in some other leagues, he's quarterback eligible. So that doesn't really help you that much there. That's something to definitely watch out for. But if he's tight end eligible in your leagues, he's a mid-range tight end one for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't what he can do everything. He can take from multiple pots where you're not just fully dependent on him getting targets or like Jonnu Smith getting carries.
Right. And the thing with him is like he's at least running routes, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He got 5 targets on 14 routes. So he's not running a ton of routes. Like Juwan Johnson's back. When a couple weeks ago he ran 44 routes and Foster Moreau only ran 15. That would have been the sweet spot. If Juwan Johnson would go away, then I mean, we would lock this guy in as like a top 5 tight end the rest of the season. The thing is, if you do roster Taysom Hill, and he should be rostered in every league, just I wouldn't drop your current tight end and just say I'm all set, because
Right.
down the stretch we have to always have to monitor this guy's usage, because down the stretch when you're in the fantasy playoffs, unless you have that bye week, you need to win 3 weeks in a row. So if he goes back to doing the old Taysom Hill where he's, every other game or every couple games he's putting up 1 point, then you got to be concerned. But right now his usage is different than it was last year, because he is actually running routes. And I mean, they're fully embraced the idea of using him in the red zone. And they've got this new formation where they bring in the big dog and do, like a
a
power
defensive tackle.
Yeah. And I
Like,
love
When
it.
you see a number
insane.
99 out there, that should
Yeah.
give you like, okay, it's go time.
Yeah, it's big boy time, right?
But what's the one of the best parts about Taysom Hill is the fact that now everybody is like, Juwan Johnson came back, he's healthy. All of their running backs are healthy, and still Taysom Hill is getting this role. I think that's where you're gonna have to be more bullish on Taysom Hill, knowing that everybody is back and he's still maintaining this role.
It's just annoying for me because the quarterback landscape is so barren, almost as the land where I grow my Fs. And when Taysom Hill comes in to steal a touchdown pass from Derek Carr, it's so extremely infuriating.
Right.
And I don't know how much longer that's actually going to last, or if that's only because they were down against the Bears in a game that they were supposed to be heavily favored. So they had to break out these trick plays. If they're actually up and conditions, settle to where Derek Carr can actually throw passes, I don't know how much Taysom Hill is actually going to get those passes in. You know what I mean?
And Alvin Kamara got tackled at like the 1 yard line, and they immediately sent in that Taysom Hill package. And just think, like, Britt, to your point, I've had to move Derek Carr down in my rankings because, I mean, the reality is when it was Drew Brees, those were all Kamara touchdowns, or even better, Drew Brees dumped down to Kamara for a passing touchdown. Like, it was so good for fantasy football, the slants and the dump downs and all that. That was like that. A buddy of mine in one league one year took Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara as his like first 3 picks, and he didn't lose a single game. Just that one crazy year for Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara also went crazy. So like, I mean, those were the days. But you're right; it really saps everything from the offense here, and we see it with mobile QBs in general, where you wonder why sometimes the Eagles and the the Ravens and these teams can win these games, and you look around and you're like, who are the fantasy relevant guys? Well, if the quarterback takes it himself, then that's just one less player that gets to be involved. So way she goes, man.
True. Well, you know what? I will take that over, Michael Hanuanui getting touchdowns for the freaking Saints as like the 9th tight end,
Right.
or, Dan Arnold becoming a thing. So
for sure, we want highly consolidated offenses. That's what I want. I want the best offenses are the ones that the 49ers and Dolphins run, where they have a fullback. The Dolphins have a fullback and Durham Smythe out there playing like more than half the snaps and getting none of the relevant touches. And that is perfect for fantasy football. Just use the same 3 guys every single play. I don't even know how it works, honestly. I feel like teams are going to start really catching on to the fact that they only give the ball to 3 players, right? Like at some point, teams are just going to stop worrying about these other guys, I feel. No?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry about it. You have to kind of deal with the Cedric Wilson random touchdown, or the, when River Craycraft comes back, his random 5 target, 2 touchdown game. Like you always have to kind of deal with that, but Waddle Hill, if they're in there, that's 60% of the targets allocated to those guys, which is what we want. And great to kind of prognosticate. Get in the game. Are the Raiders fantasy players finally relevant with Aiden O'Connell? by Raiders players, you mean Adams. Adams probably less so, but still obviously relevant. Josh Jacobs, look, Antonio Pierce seems to be, we want to establish the run. Make sure you get Josh Jacobs like 74 touches in each game. So
Also,
Josh
again,
Jacobs is looking more relevant. Yeah.
I just feel like that was such a game script situation because Daniel Jones went out so early. They didn't have to throw the ball. Like, they threw that one touchdown to Jacoby Myers. Right after that is when Daniel Jones suffered that ACL injury. And then it was just run the rest of the game. So, I mean, I would like to think so that they are, especially with Devontae Adams' squeaky wheel narrative. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the Raiders are actually good enough.
Yeah, I mean, we do this all the time where the Raiders, Howard pointed out, we bet on the Raiders to win this game, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, this interim coach, he's the man. And then after this, they're probably going to have some struggles and some growing pains. So I don't know if I'm going too crazy, but I was already starting Adams, Myers, and Josh Jacobs where I have them because there's nobody else. So, I mean, it doesn't change too much.
Yeah, Antonio Pierce did say that he wanted to, we know who the guys on our team are that we want to feed the ball to Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. So that could be a little bit of a signal. I definitely understand the game script aspect of that because that game got out of hand in a hurry. And then the quarterback going out certainly sped up that timeline. But look, they get Jets, Miami, KC, and then they're bye. It's gonna be tough sledding, I would say, for both of those guys, and certainly Jacoby Myers as well. So we'll see how that goes here. Chef TPTB has the sell window opened for Alexander Mattison. Look, right now, no Cam Akers, another Achilles injury, which is just brutal. Yeah. Certainly hate to see that. One is bad enough, two is yikes. But right now, it's like Mattison and the ghost of Ty Chandler comes back to maybe he's going to be haunting Madison's dreams, maybe not. But on the surface, it's a potential sell window, and I think it's open till 1 Eastern on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Keenan Nwangwu's been banged up, inactive. Ty Chandler. I mean, I think they cut Dwayne McBride, then brought him back to the practice squad. There's just not a lot of threats there, So it boils down to how you feel about Joshua Dobbs. And I don't know if you guys follow Britt on TikTok, but the Fantasy Alarm family is feeling good about Joshua Dobbs, and she crushed it with that video. So that video had me amped up for Joshua Dobbs.
I haven't even seen the video. What video was it? No, but I think that I'm actually wanting to buy Alexander Mattison because obviously Cam Akers was eating into his snap share, but the Vikings have one of the most favorable schedules for the running backs over the rest of the season. Like, yes, there is the ghost of Ty Chandler, but Ty Chandler really hasn't done much. I think that Mattison may get as close to a bell cow snap share as anybody else in the league at this point. So I know I did put Ty Chandler in my waiver wire article just as a deep league, like kind of dart throw. But I think that Mattison has some very high upside going into the rest of the season, especially with Dobbs in at quarterback.
If Alexander Mattison pulls a 2021 David Montgomery and goes like scorched earth on the league, I will be insufferable. I will not be able to live with myself if that happens.
I'm telling you, like there's a big disconnect between like efficiency metric, analytics and expected points, Twitter, and like reality Twitter. And of course, like the place to live is the middle. Like obviously we want guys that are getting all of their expected fantasy points, and the expected fantasy points matches up.
Just call it machine learning stats and get it out of the way.
It is a machine learning stat, which is a good thing though. It helps us. It really helps us identify sleepers more than anything, right? Like the guys where we look at those metrics and we say
Rashee Rice.
He's getting 30% of the snaps, but he's been super efficient with those snaps and he's looked good. And if we just got him more snaps, then he'd be great. Right.
Chicago last year. Yep.
Right. But here's the thing about where the disconnect falls a lot of times is where we say, okay, like all those years with Tony Pollard and Zeke, we say Tony Pollard needs more touches, because all these efficiency metrics, but then you look at his role and it's really conducive to high efficiency, right? And Zeke is the one that is doing the 1 yard runs and doing all the dirty work. And now that Zeke's gone, well, he doesn't look as efficient, does he? Right. So at the end of the day, I want the guys that get the opportunity, right? So we want to go for guys that either are super efficient and are going to earn more, or we want the guys that have the job. So I look at Tony Pollard now, where people like the shines come off him a little bit, and I say, what's the threat to Tony Pollard? Like, is Rico Dowdle going to get more touches? Of course not. So Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, these guys that their opportunity is safe, I'm in. Same thing goes for drops and fumbles. Sure, at the fringe, drops and fumbles could get a guy benched, but you're not going to bench Tyreek Hill because he leads the league in drops. You're not going to bench Puka Nacua or TJ Hawkinson. So I don't care about drops and fumbles. And the same goes for Joe Mixon. It's like trade deadline's over. Leonard Fournette signed. I just don't see what could cause Tony Pollard or Joe Mixon or Alexander Mattison or Rachaad White to lose these workloads. Like what's the catalyst? So if that's the case, then yeah, everyone post all their efficiency metrics and dog these guys, and then we'll trade for them, and then we'll win. End of rant.
Okay. Well, that's all I have.
On period.
There you have it.
As the kids say. Graham back, PPR. Would you trade Saquon Barkley and Hunter Henry for James Conner and Dalton Kincaid? Have Aaron Jones remanded, but lost Goedert. Don't know if I go that far. Trade
James Conner's so tough because he's good, but it's like he's just
how can you depend on him when he barely
difficult
plays?
Time to stand out there. He's never played a full season,
and now he's going to be coming back. Will be coming back into a Kyler Murray led offense versus a Clayton Tune offense. So maybe a little bit there, but yeah, you can't trade for James Conner and expect him to be getting just back into the 20 carry role on a team that's clearly going to be in the bottom quarter of the league.
All things even, Britt, which side of that trade would you want to be on?
I kind of like the Conner and Kincaid, to be honest, because I don't know what the Giants are looking at going forward with Taylor on IR, with Tommy DeVito. The trade deadline's already passed. Are they going to pick up Carson Wentz or Colt McCoy, like somebody else who's just floating out there on free agency? Hunter Henry really hasn't done much. I think that I would rather go Conner with Kyler Murray coming back and Kincaid with Dawson Knox on IR, because your running backs are already fairly solid.
Yeah.
It's very risky, I will say.
Risk it for the biscuit. That wins Lombardies, I'm told.
There it is, dude. Biscuit it. I think I'm in on James Conner and Dalton Kincaid. I think I'm down. I'm down with the get down. But I also like Aaron Jones a lot. And Ramondre Stevenson is, he's in his situation is now all of a sudden potentially better than Saquon's,
True. I'm 8-1. I'm worried about Tua, Kenneth Walker, and Kupp. Should I try to trade Walker for Montgomery, Bijan, or Pollard? And should I try to trade Tua and Kupp? A lot of moving parts here. I don't know.
You're 8-1. Why are you worried?
Yeah.
I get the fact that, I think I get it with Kupp. I do. I'm not really getting off that ship. Ken Walker, I think that's more injury related, why he's losing more work to Zach Charbonnet than anything. And trust me, I want to spin it the other way and say Zach Charbonnet is awesome and Kenneth Walker is dust. Those takes I was banning about 3 months ago, but
you're gonna trade a banged up early down back dealing with a rookie running back for a banged up early down back dealing with a rookie running back. That's the trade. It's like, just hang tight, man.
Or trading him for an awesome rookie running back that's hampered by basically a rookie in skill and ability head coach.
Now the guy I would go for is Pollard. And do we have any update on Tyron Smith? Is he done for the year, or where's he at?
No, he wasn't. He's not done for the year.
Right. Well, there you go. So yeah, go get Tony Pollard. Game's easy.
My concern about Pollard, I didn't think that Pollard could handle the increased workload with his frame, and he's more of an outside guy rather than a between the tackles guy.
Yeah, I'd rather them not use him just to running into the center every other play.
Yeah, that
That was
It's
Zeke's
that
job.
situation.
Everybody wanted Zeke gone, but now we're
I
like,
did not
well,
want Zeke gone. I told
know.
everyone, efficiency doesn't matter. Zeke gets it done on those short yardage situations where it needs to happen. But everyone was like, Pollard, Pollard, Pollard. Well, now look what's happened.
Right?
Montgomery.
No strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
Makes me vomit.
That's a new one. I like that one.
With Montgomery, with Gibbs emerging, I don't think that they can put him back in the bottle, but Montgomery's still going to have a role.
Yeah.
Even short yardage. So
yeah, Monty's going to be fun. Monty's going to be good.
I would look at Montgomery.
Monty's on deck to become like public enemy number one pretty soon if he comes back and gets a sizable workload after what Gibbs did. Like he is ready to get a perimeter fence around his house with all the pitchforks coming after him.
Every time David Montgomery scores, I tweet something like David Montgomery's awesome, and no one likes it. No, no one ever likes it. David Montgomery's so good. It's just like no one ever clicks like because they just don't want it, dude. The fantasy wishing is real. I got another one in the chat from Kenneth. Someone wants to give me Debo and Walker for Ayuk. I mean, we like Ayuk better than Debo, and I think I still say yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would. I'm down with that.
We Britt, we're all on board with Ayuk better than Debo, but is he a Kenneth Walker better than Debo? That's a big jump.
It's not about whether or not the player's better. It's about the situation of Seattle's offensive line when they activate 41-year-old Jason Peters because they have so many problems on their offensive line, including both guards. I don't know. You
think that he's not even? I mean, again, it probably if this is a shallow league, then you want to keep Ayuk. But if it's if Kenneth Walker is a guy that's going to go right into your lineup, then yeah. But
yeah, I would like to know who else is on your team to make that call because right now that Seattle offensive line really concerns me.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Would you trade Kelsey, Bijan, and Ayuk for Christian McCaffrey, CD, and Kincaid? Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah. Run to the podium
right.
with that one.
And obviously, Kelsey's still the tight end one rest of the season. It was, very specific matchup this week that was problematic for him. But Christian McCaffrey is an animal. And I just tweeted earlier, he's gonna feast this week. The Jags are letting up 7.5 receptions to the running back a game, which is stone worst in the league. And Alvin Kamara had 12 receptions against them. So I think McCaffrey this week I have him ranked RB1 in any sort of PPR format for sure. I know that they're good at stopping the run, but this is also one of the best running teams. So they can squeeze water out of stone on the running front, and he's going to catch some balls. So I think McCaffrey is and CeeDee Lamb looks awesome, and Kincaid looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb's been just a maniac. 15 targets averaging in those last 2 games, 12 catches, and 175 yards. Like, what are we doing here?
And he knows these guys
crushing it.
It's becoming so obvious these guys know about these milestones in the records, right? AJ Brown knows he has this streak of 125-yard games. Christian McCaffrey knows he has a touchdown every week for the last 17 years. And Keenan Allen, the moment he caught that pass yesterday, he went and got a marker and wrote 10,000 yards on it. So these guys know what's going on. Christian and the coaches know it too. So if there's any opportunity to get Christian McCaffrey another touchdown and set another record, they're going to keep doing it until it doesn't work. And I'm not sure when it's ever going to stop working.
Yeah, for sure. Guys want to build a showdown lineup and we'll hit some of these questions on the way out.
Yeah.
All right. It's Carolina and Chicago. Guys, settle down. I know it's a hot matchup, but
never mind. I don't want to build a lineup anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Never mind. Captain.
What's the deal with Fields? Is Fields going to be? Is the Tyson Bagent show yet again?
He's practicing.
Fields tell us about Fields.
He's practicing, but still no word. They're going to wait. Well, and also it wasn't a practice; it was an estimated practice. He's gripping the ball and throwing it, but they have to see how strong his grip is and how far he can actually throw it. So
Bajan it is. Pretty much.
no.
You know, you don't need a
No, I don't
thumb to
want him
run.
as captain.
No.
No, it's for me. It'd be Foreman.
No. It's Thielen. It's Adam Thielen. He's a super duper mega.
You want to?
superstar.
We want to trust. I know it's a Bears secondary. I can't trust Bryce Young for anything.
Sure, you can throw it at Thielen.
Yeah, I mean, also,
I think
Stroud has really gummed up the works here when it comes to evaluating these rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, Thielen is not a captain. He's a guy you put in the lineup, but like
he's like safe points. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I mean, do we have to have a captain?
well, CJ Henderson also went out.
How does Eddie Pinheiro?
Oh my God.
CJ Henderson also went out with a concussion, so that adds even more injuries to Carolina's secondary.
Good.
So I'm thinking potentially DJ Moore as a captain.
He for DFS and best ball, DJ Moore is obviously the guy in this game that's most capable of just making a humongous play himself.
He did it in the last Island game. Yeah.
Right. He's just most capable of doing it himself.
And it's a revenge game.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, he's going to be like the 35% captain, but that's
probably.
Good.
Bring it back with
he's the good chalk.
Thielen's locked up in there. I'm okay with Mooney.
This is definitely a Mercedes Lewis game. So if you're going to put DJ Moore and Mooney in the lineup, then you have to put the quarterback in, though. That's the one thing on that. And we don't even know who the quarterback is.
We don't have to. We didn't have to last Thursday.
With two wide receivers in the lineup and no quarterback? Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, we didn't have to with Levis or Pickett last week.
We're getting some calls in the chat for Cole Kmet captain.
Kmet, dude. I mean, he absolutely mossed.
I had to text you immediately after that. Like,
what the hell was that? First of all, it was great coverage. No business throwing that pass, right? And then he just goes up and snap. I mean, what a play, dude. Cole Kmet, so hot.
I'd rather have him. I'm good with him. Yeah, we gotta. We're up against it here, but I'm okay with Kmet captain if you want to get different from the DJ Moore stuff.
No, it's more. So now we have to start the quarterback though. 2
versus 1. I like Kmet captain.
Fine, do it. Mine always gets messed up where like I can't move the guy to captain once I. Can you just like?
Turns out you might not know ball.
I kind of don't, dude. Like they don't go. They go into like the other spot. Do I like pick? Is there a way to select it?
Yeah, you can literally click the captain.
Where do I click? Oh, okay, yeah, I see it. Okay, cool, very cool. This is awesome. This is a great setup.
Yeah. So we only have like 8,500 to spend. We got to go kind of cheap. I'm trying to think.
Roshan.
How much is he? Roshan's only 5,400.
Okay. And then one more, and then Eddie Pinheiro. Oh no, wait, 2 more.
Roshan. What position is already filled? Oh, because I didn't click out the captain. Maybe I don't know ball. There you go. We're playing 2 Carolina. Eddie Pinheiro, we're hoping for like a 21 to 15 game. Let's go.
Lock that in, dude. Lock it in. And we got to jump because we have Alarm Fantasy Football coming up next. Howard Bender and I answering all your waiver questions. We're going to be hitting on all that. So stay tuned with us right after this. I got to jump over and get ready for that. So catch you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. For Coop, for Britt, Kevin Tompkins here. We will say, Britt, you say it. I say it all the time.
Toodles.